I'm actually talking from Limburg, which is like in the south of the Netherlands, near Germany. I'm in a television studio because that was we were talking to a broadcaster, and they put me in a television studio to do this webinar. Thanks for having me. I will tell you a bit about where SmartOcto is and where we are going. So maybe on the next slide. What SmartOcto is basically a data product. I mean, dashboarding and reporting, something really special. Because when we were in, let's say, journalism or in media, we saw that people were trying to do more data-driven or more data-inspired workflows. They want to learn from data. They want to sort of see numbers and dashboards and graphs. But it was very, very hard to let journalists, editors, marketeers work on data, at least to let them know what the next course of action would be. So we were thinking, why is there a navigation system in your car? You set the route and it will tell you where to go left and right. Why is there no navigation or data system for content, basically? And that's what we built. So we were one of the first decision-making systems in the content industry, which means AI-driven, machine learning, all the stuff. We were doing that already in 2016. And basically, you see all your numbers or your stories, and it will spit out notifications based upon the client's strategy on which story should be shorter, which story should be on Facebook, which story should be in a different tone of voice, which stories convert the best in subscriptions, whatever it takes. And that decision-making system is that we built. In the next slide, you can see that we're doing that with quite some people. And that's also because we are actually the merger. SmartOcto is the merger. I saw content insights in the slides of Daniel. We're actually the merger of the Dutch SmartOcto and the Serbian Content Insights. And Content Insights was doing all the historical data. So we have data from years back, but we also do the Dutch ones with the AI and the notifications and stuff like that. And we do that with 40 people across two different offices. We're opening more, as I will tell you later as well. But this is like a very, very good culture. We're very proud of the culture fit and the culture vibes in the system. And what these people do, and you can see that in the next slide, is we try to help media companies, broadcasters, publishers, but in sort of moreover now marketing teams as well, with their KPIs. So basically, if they tell us we need more reach, we need more people to see our stories, we can optimize their content strategy up to 16% more, right? So if they hook in our automated system, they will deliver up to 16% more reach. And we did spectacular results actually with subscription model. And we're quite aware that in the world now, there's getting more subscriptions, not only in media, but also outside of media. And we're doing quite well in making the transition from content and let's say audiences into a subscription strategy. And we're quite well known for that. Well, in the next slide, you can see what is our business model. We have a couple of different business models, basically, but most of this is, of course, yearly or even multi-yearly licenses. We do like a SaaS model, of course. Our average client size license is up to 30K per year, but we have clients from 1.2 million per year or 1 million per year. And we're trying to do that across different continents. So we are now having 300 editorial teams, clients, into 6 different continents. That's, of course, challenging with all the cultural fits and all the languages and stuff like that. And now we are with, as I said, with the office in the Netherlands, Nijmegen, near the German border, and in Novi Sad in Serbia. But we are planning to open an office in the USA and somewhere in Asia, because we feel that the USA is a very, very important market for us. The ticket sizes are much bigger there. There's much more budget on the client side as well. And you can already see we have US clients there. You can already see that these ticket sizes are growing, but we need people on the ground, at least for these very, very important markets as well. Last year, we grew 70% in MRR. This year we're getting to probably 50%. It's of course harder to multiply once you're getting bigger. We're now at 270, 275 contracted MRR. So we're slowly getting to very interesting multiple revenues. And also what is very special is that we are keeping on a small profit there as well. So we're not losing money, and we have pretty much an endless runway to do. Although sometimes we see an opportunity and we attract some small bridge funding, but until now we did very rarely in the last couple of years. Also, challenging is when we have bigger ticket sizes with clients, it can be challenging with the sales cycles as well, because we can see on the client side that budgets are growing, but they also need very more complicated stakeholder analysis, stakeholder management as well. So we're trying to grow the team into more seniority, because obviously like a small publisher in a small country is something different than, for example, Yahoo that we had as a client this year, that takes a different kinds of style. And in multiple countries, we're getting to the biggest clients in those countries. So we need to add a bit more seniority to the team. So next slide. Then, of course, achievements that we're doing. As I said, we are quite sticky as a product. I think in the last year we only had 2% as a churn overall per year, and that's revenue churn, so not client churn. So sometimes they do something internally. We see that with our AI tooling as well. They just experiment with ChatGPT or with Claude or something like that, and then they sort of temporarily churn. Although I see them often coming back as well. As I said, we do 300 newsrooms in 6 continents. Our system has 2 billion page views per month that they calculated on. And I think the system is now so big, we do 50,000 algorithmic calculations per second. So it's like a huge machine that we built in the last few years. And it's very, very scalable also across sectors, but also across client sort of client types. We can do this very small marketing teams or publisher teams, but we can also do big ones like Yahoo. In the last year, that was something of a very symbolic event to us. We were headlined in the digital news report of Reuters, and that's the biggest report in our sector, right? So if you do media and marketing, everybody reads the digital news report, which basically means what are the most impressive or most convincing trends into the media market. And we were the only company highlighted in the Reuters report, which brought a lot of attention to the company. And I would say that our brand image is that's one of the challenges, but also one of the perks. Our brand image of the company of SmartOcto is quite big now, right? So everybody in the sector knows us, and that's also why we got to a partnership agreement with the Financial Times. The Financial Times in London is actually the biggest media consultancy group in the world. So they give consultancy to all the big publishers in the world. In the last few years, they did, with the help of Google, by the way, they helped 700 newsrooms, let's say, grow into different business models or digital transformations or stuff like that. And we are the only company now that is sort of growing a partnership agreement with them. We're just starting. Last month was just the first month that we officially started with. We already did some projects with the Financial Times, and I cannot stress enough how big this is in media and abroad. So we expect a lot of revenue coming in the next few years, not only because the Financial Times gives us a even better brand image, but also because in the projects that they do with all the sort of consultancy, they take us under the arm and we can connect to all the big broadcasters. And actually a big achievement that was quite some years ago, but I still want to sort of name that. We did that merger, right? Within the Netherlands and Serbia, we had a lot of interesting conversations on managing the merger of 2 companies across 2 different cultures. But I think that and our shareholders will sort of also say yes to that. That merger went really, really well. So it's one team. We work together seamlessly across all these digital platforms. All the teams see each other every day. We are agile in any sort of department of the country. So there's a stand up for marketing, there's a stand up for success, there's a stand up for all the tech and the data science. And that works really well. Most of the sales and strategy is in the Netherlands, but all of the data science and tech is actually in Serbia. Next slide. Let's see going forward. We are, of course, a company that is very, very impacted with Gen AI and the stuff that is happening there. We were very lucky in two regards. Basically, we were very early with doing machine learning, doing AI, doing all kinds of very complicated data science projects. That's because that's in the nature of the company. And we are lucky that we have a lot of training data. We have like thousands and hundred thousands of stories in our system, and we have like billions and billions of data points every day. So we are a company that can do this sort of stuff quite well. In 2018, we saw that let's say in analytics per se, it was mostly about top lists and graphs and visualizations and stuff like that. Then we were doing already machine learning, right? Which is now considered like the dull part of AI, but still very powerful. You can calculate what is the best story or what is the best course of action and stuff like that. And then we calculated recommendations or notifications based on top of that, right? So clients will say us what they want to achieve, and then we will, of course, recommend the next course of action, which is what wasn't really heard of in 2016 when we started. Now, and this is very important, now we see that Gen AI is having a say in this, right? So not only do we understand stories much better, but once we sort of put all the data and all the recommendations and all the notifications into one big bucket, Gen AI can actually help us create strategic advice and personal tips that we as developers didn't really think of. And if you go to the next slide, for example, we're currently working on, if you go to the next slide, please. Yeah. Oh, they have all these objections, right? So we must not forget that AI is really, really important, and I consider it the most important invention, Gen AI, of the last, I don't know, couple of decennia. But they have all kinds of objections, our clients, right? So CEO of a publisher would say, well, if I do everything in ChatGPT, will I lose my copyrights, or what will this be used for? Or the editor of a broadcaster will say, well, AI is still hallucinating quite heavily. Can I really rely on the input? Or are these open AI policies with the stuff that they do, do I really want to create some dependency on that? But if we go to the next slide, we can take all that away because we can train the data in all these different fields, right? So I did a study myself on AI in media. You have multiple disciplines now of AI in media on automatic content production. That's of course where all the controversy is, but also with story assistance, with content classification, decision making, distribution, personalization, for example. And we tend to focus on that middle part, right? On the blue stuff with decision making based upon really nifty content classifications. And then we can do, and if we go to the next slide, then that's what we are currently working on. We can build virtual assistants in media. So basically, we can build an artificial chief editor that says something, right? That says, well, these stories should be more in the morning, or these regions need training, or the newsroom need to cut down on the number of morning stories, etc., etc. And that's a step forward in notifications and recommendations. And we are the only ones in the world that had this sort of vision from the start. So I actually think that sort of Gen AI and the stuff that is happening in virtual sort of virtual assistant work will actually benefit us quite well, together with the Financial Times and their let's say their consultancy work. I think it will be leading to the growth that I showed you earlier. We're trying to add 50, 60, 70% year over year to the revenue, and I think we're doing quite okay. So last slide, I think that's if we go to the next one, is there still a next one? Yeah, no, that's just it. So basically, SmartOcto is doing well, although growth is actually hard, of course, in media sectors, because it's quite a niche market. We're heading into different sectors and different markets there as well. And I think it's a very healthy company. It has a very good company culture. We're doing a lot in R&D, and our brand image is very powerful. And I can see us doing well in the future there as well. But we need, of course, a bit of seniority adding to the team, and we need to diversify in terms of not only the sectors, but also in terms of regions, because next one, we're quite big in Europe, but next ones are the USA and Asia. I think that's my sort of take from now.
Eric, so thank you very much. It was a very nice presentation. I think that you gave a very good flavor about what you do and the huge potential that you have as a company, especially with the advance of the AI in all fields. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, we will forward it to you and we'll reply to our investors.